All right, now we should have 12 so we can get the meeting started. So I now call to order the meeting of September 28th, 2020. Would the Deputy Speaker please call the roll?
Yes, Senator Arian-Arkian. Present. Senator Baker. Senator Belay. Senator Dillingham.
Present.
Senator Hawk. Senator Hathaway.
Here.
Senator Cosme. Senator Leong. Senator Liverpool.
Here.
Senator Nadeem. Senator Changase.
Here.
Senator Ramirez.
Here.
Senator Rogers.
Here.
Oh, Senator Nadeem says he's here in the chat. Senator Sadi.
Present.
Senator Salimi is here. Senator Tome.
Present.
Senator Tulloch. Senator Yoon.
Here.
Exactly 12 present.
I'm also here, by the way.
Oh, sorry, 13 present. If I didn't hear you, just say in the chat if you're here.
All right, so we're now going to sing the Genesee. Please mute your mic so that we don't have static and echoing and stuff on the recording, but feel free to sing along. Full many fair and famous streams beneath the sun there be, yet more to us than any seems our own dear Genesee. We love her banks and stately falls, for to our minds they bring our dear old alma mater's halls, where sweetest memories cling. As flows the river gathering force along her steadfast way, may we along life's devious course grow stronger day by day, and may our hearts where'er we roam forever loyal be to our beloved college home beside the Genesee. All right, so we're now going to go into open forum. We have a presentation from Tiffany Street, so I'll turn the floor over to you. It's yours.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for letting me join your wonderful meeting on this beautiful Monday. I'm not going to take up a ton of time, but I did want to jump in and say that just kind of about like a show of hands or thumbs up or chats. Has anybody heard of our Badass Bystander program or just Badass Bystander in general at the university? Cool, cool. So the reason I'm here to talk with you all is because really, truly, I just want to be able to present it and wanted to see if you know, SA would be a place that would be interested to kind of start. I have done Badass Bystander for a couple groups, as well as staff and faculty at the university, but it's not as many students as I would love to have done Badass with, and that's probably because it's a little lengthy. And the way that we look at Badass Bystander is it's a level 2 medallion program. Has anybody heard of the medallion program as well? I'm sure that some of the folks in the SA are probably familiar with that from student activities. But it's a leadership program run by student activities, and basically you work your way through level 1 and then level 2, and then level 3 is usually a competency program that you work with an office with, and you go from there, and then you usually like graduate from the medallion program and like get an actual medallion, but it looks great, it's resume experience and all that kind of fun stuff. So essentially we got lucky enough to have it as a leadership program. But I basically can run it whenever, especially if there's an interest with students. And, you know, I told Justina that I'm happy to figure out a way to navigate how to get you all some swag afterwards. So I give out t-shirts, you know, stickers, buttons, But I think what's really important about this program is that it's a program that I offer to students who truly want to take it, right? So I'm not gonna sit here and say that you have to take Badass Bystander. I think that would really devaluate the mission and the importance of what it looks like. But you know, the opportunity to have it and have it available to students and have like a genuine, real conversation, especially given the world right now where we're talking about racism and sexism and all sorts of violence and how those all interconnect. I think it's really important to have those conversations. So this isn't just Badass Bystander about sexual misconduct, right? Although it comes from my office, this could be Badass Bystander when you hear a racist comment or you see a transphobic comment or whatever. And this is kind of giving you all the building blocks and the tools to feel more comfortable to utilize your own unique bystander intervention skills. So, you know, I'm gonna pick on Rusama because she's my homegirl. She's also my student employee. So like Rusama's gonna have a different intervention skill than I'm gonna have when something's unfolding. And so the cool thing about Badass Bystanders, we start off half of this teaching you the skills, really diving into these, having group dialogues, you know, breakout rooms in Zoom, and then coming back together and then actually doing some virtual role plays where we'll watch something kind of unfold. And we can have volunteers who want to, you know, engage in the role play, or maybe I'll kind of throw some wrenches in there and see who you know, picks up whether or not something might be unfolding, and see if you want to use those intervention skills. And what happens is this helps with your prefrontal cortex. When this thing goes offline during a fight, flight, freeze response, we're watching something unfold, it actually starts to build up your muscle memory. So you'll have a higher likelihood that you'll want to intervene, you know, when you see or hear something, or somebody's perpetuating harm to anybody. So that's kind of like a quick synopsis. There are learning objectives, which I just realized I should share. So if you want to give me a second, you don't mind me clicking around on my laptop, I'm happy to find those and I can actually share them on the screen. Alex, it's up to you. But you know, there is components and objectives to this. There's also, like I said, try to give away some fun stuff so y'all get to walk around on campus with a shirt that says badass. And then when a student asks about it, you can explain that it's actually a really cool acronym for being aware, deciding to act, and saying something, and also that you get to say that you're badass. But you know, that's kind of like the quick synopsis of it. If anybody has questions or, you know, are curious about how this could fit with this group, you know, and if y'all want, I'm happy to share my screen and I can show you the Medallion Proposal. Cool. I'll share my screen real quick. I'm going to just zoom in because it's going to show unpacking as well, but I'm going to go down to Badass. So this is kind of what the objectives for Badass are. Again, these are skills I'm trying to give you all, not just to have at the University of Rochester. This expands into your world, so wherever you might be, for folks who might be, you know, virtual or go out into the city of Rochester or go home and something is bound to happen where we are. So, you know, these, again, I want to give you all tangible real life skills that you can utilize where you're going to end up, not just when you're here at the university. And we have a little bit of a deeper dive about it, so it's not just like surface level conversation. So I guess the real question while you're all kind of digesting this, you know, information is this something that you'd all be interested, or would folks be interested in taking the Badass Bystander Medallion workshop?
If you want to raise your hand or post in the chat, we can do a Q&A or any discussion that way. And then I'll let Alex, if you want to kind of moderate too, I'll throw the other question out. And this has been kind of one of those things that I struggle with figuring out what's going to be best for you all. Could you all commit, you know, 2.5 hours to taking a training? And would you want to do it in one sitting, given that I'll give, you know, with breaks, or would you want to break it up and we do an hour and 15 one night and an hour and 15 another night? Or would you be like, I'd rather just do it all kind of in one sitting?
Okay, so it looks like there's maybe a consensus that this would be a good idea. Does anybody, and again, if you don't show up or if you don't want to take it, that's totally fine. And that's actually, I don't want, again, to force anybody. That's one of the kind of ground rules when we take this training is that, be here because you want to be here. I don't want to pressure or make anybody feel like because you're in a role as a senator or an essay that this is some sort of obligation that you have to take. I think it helps that you'll set a precedent with, your peers that this is something that is important and that you feel strongly about and encourage this kind of behavior from other, people at the university. And again, I could, start to figure out with some of maybe the leadership, what days would be a good way to do, or maybe, if we borrow an essay meeting to do it, that kind of stuff. But I think we just wanted to get a consensus about sharing with you all that you like the idea and that, you want to at least maybe see it happen.
And if senators have questions after the meeting, or if anyone has questions, you can feel free to reach out to me, and then we can sort of discuss the best approach to do it, like during a Senate meeting or outside of a Senate meeting, that sort of thing.
Cool. Well,
questions or discussion?
Any questions or anything? Because I don't want to take up more of your time. I can go continue to eat dinner. So, but I just want to make sure I'm present and available. And I know that there's a handful of y'all that know me, but for some of the folks that my face might be new to the group, and so I told Justine I would just come sell myself and this program and the level of importance to you all. Because I think that, especially given the time that we're in now, more than ever, as always, having these conversations, they're tough, but they're really important. They're really necessary. So that's kind of the goal. And or if anybody's really interested in wanting to role play, I'm just going to volunteer Rusama, but anybody else who would be interested too, and also role playing, I would be interested to collect your info, and we could have conversations about some of those scenarios as well.
I think I saw Connor's hand raised.
I lowered it, but I just want to say thanks so much for coming today. I think this is really important. This is just a tiny side note, I think, to me, Zan, or Justina. A number of justices have expressed interest in doing this as well. A lot of them are at this meeting. But if we could be included in that, I think a lot of us would be happy to participate. That's all. I yield.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, the more the merrier. I don't think, like, the group that I did it for a couple years back, I had like 65 people. I thought that the conversations went really well. And with Zoom, we can put as many people into as many breakout rooms as we think are necessary to have those really crucial conversations, and then come back together as a larger group, and kind of somebody could be selected as a speaker, which I'm sure you all would be really great at delegating that responsibility, given that you're in the Senate. But, and then we could all come together and share those ideas. That's how we kind of did it in person. And the role plays might be a little funky since we're not going to be doing them in person, but I think virtual, we could still watch a scenario unfold, or we could still hear something or see something, and still work out the role plays in that sense. So, I'm hoping you all don't mind kind of being the, test group for the virtual badass experience, but I think, ultimately we'll still get the same goals and accomplish the same things from it. And ultimately you'll get really cool swag at the end. Anyway, so. And Alexander, I think you have my email, or whomever else has my email. Feel free, please, if you can share it with the group. If anybody has questions or wants more information, or wants, this outline that I just shared, I'm happy to share that stuff as well.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming. And yeah, feel free to contact me, or I can also put your information in the chat as well.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
All right, so now we'll go into, we'll continue with open forum. So is there anyone wishing to speak during open forum? I do see that there was a point about the report. If a senator wanted to discuss that. Senator Liang.
Yeah, would you mind opening it for everyone so we can look at it and I can talk through basically what it is? So I touched on this last meeting, but yeah, so to contextualize this, on June 23rd, so over the summer, the Faculty Senate Executive Committee appointed an ad hoc committee to reimagine both the composition as well as the purpose of the Public Safety Review Board. So to contextualize that, the current Public Safety Review Board was established by Joel Seligman in October of 2016. This was after they armed DPS. The board is chaired by Francis Price, who is a university trustee, and is comprised of, excuse me, the Students Association president, some faculty, some staff, and generally speaking, administrators from across the university, and they meet on an as-needed basis to provide regular assessments of public safety. So they sort of do the thing where they vote and approve, or they vote yes or no to recommendations that public safety comes up with. So for example, last year, public safety had a proposal to arm more police officers, or arm more public safety officers, and the Public Safety Review Board created a separate committee which then investigated the problem, and then from there they voted. The vote was split, but it was no, and that went to the Public Safety Review Board. The Public Safety Review Board voted yes, and then it went to the president's office, and the president, who was at the time the interim president, Rich Feldman, said, "We will not arm, we will not arm more public safety officers," but a change was made where they were granted jurisdiction in where armed public safety officers are now able to respond to incidents on campus. So that was the change that happened last year. So the Public Safety Review Board has a lot of power because they make direct recommendations to the president, and more times than not, the president basically just adopts whatever the recommendation is. One of the problems is that no one has any idea, not no one, but the majority of students, I would say, have no idea what the Public Safety Review Board is, who's on it, what it does, et cetera, et cetera. But we sort of think that it's incredibly important to rethink sort of what this is. So earlier, Tiffany Street said highlighted the importance of cultural change. Here I'm going to highlight the importance of institutional change and changing some structures. So the ad hoc committee was formed over the summer. A lot of people sit on it. It includes 25 different members, including administrators from central administration. It includes faculty, students, undergraduate students, graduate students, staff, service workers, as well as community members, which is incredibly important. Of SA, the three people that sit on it are myself, Devon, and Justina. So we met 5 times from July 20th all the way to September 23rd. Not everyone could make every meeting, but I've been at most meetings. Yeah, so this is what we came up with, and even though there isn't a full consensus, this is the draft. So a couple things to highlight, right? I guess like on the first page, if you want to scroll up, we propose a reimagined Public Safety Review Board that is designed in response to the structural racism that is endemic to policing in American culture. It is a part of the effort to build new institutions that reverse the trend towards ever greater surveillance, militarization, mass incarceration. The new Public Safety Review Board needs to be a part of a wider institutional effort that rejects this model of safety through policing in favor of one that embraces anti-racism, community partnerships, restorative justice, conflict mediation, and non-extractive economic development in the city of Rochester. So you can see that this is a huge departure from the old Public Safety Review Board, which basically was a body that received a proposal from DPS and then answered yes or no. So what is the new purpose of the Public Safety Review Board? So in articulating the purpose of the Public Safety Review Board, we begin with a question posed by the 2019 Public Safety Proposal Advisory Committee And this question might seem familiar. What does safety, broadly construed, mean for all members of our community, including the university's neighbors? And how can we meaningfully move toward it in a way that is consistent with our values, equity, leadership, integrity, openness, respect, and accountability? In the document, there is a link to the report itself, which is quite cool. So the important part of this, right, in order to answer this question, we want this new board to do the following things. One, it should be a venue for independent submission and reviews of complaints and concerns about the actions of public safety. So this specific purpose is to address one of the lingering problems that the current Public Safety Review Board has, which is, where does policy originate? Policy originates from DPS. DPS sends it up the chain, they approve yes or no. And this is done in a rather untransparent manner. It's done in such a way where students aren't able to sort of get in on that feedback unless you do it through the president, which is incredibly complicated, and year to year, different presidents, different priorities, et cetera, et cetera. The second point, the Public Safety Review Board should foster transparency about DPS. Specifically, the Public Safety Review Board should disseminate information about public safety's authority, composition, policies, and any other information that would be beneficial in helping our university and broader community understand the nature and power of public safety officers. If you were here, I guess, like last semester, and I guess like throughout the summer and this month, Devon and myself have been sort of digging through a lot of public safety policy. We're talking to people, we're trying to identify, like, what is the structure? What is it about? Where can they go? What do they do? What are the laws? What are the actual laws? What are the university policies? All of it is really difficult to find, and it took us months and months of digging to sort of identify, like, okay, well, now we have policies that we like asked to see. Now we're looking at them. Okay, now we need to talk to X person and Y person, et cetera, et cetera. So we think that the Public Safety Review Board should be the body that disseminates that information. Not sure as to what mechanism. I assume it would be through a website or through publications or through an annual report. That still remains to be seen. And then the third thing, the Public Safety Review Board members should actively solicit feedback and suggestions from the university and neighboring communities. The focus should be to foster conversation and to solicit policy proposals that aim at a broad conception of safety, one that aims not just at preventing crime, but also at rectifying inequities, providing needed supports, and helping to foster an environment where all may flourish. So this is sort of where, like, your conception of, like, community building and mutual aid come into this proposal. I think it's incredibly important to note that this would basically mean that the idea behind the board is that it is inherently public facing. It means that anyone can come to the board with a problem. Anyone can come to the board being like, this horrible thing happened to me. Alternatively, I think that this thing should change. I think that X policy is incredibly unfair and racist and should change, and start having those conversations. So this is a huge change from the Public Safety Review Board now, in which only people who are on the board are allowed to attend. I think that's the case. Alternatively, that's de facto the case since no one knows that it exists. So to be more specific, we thought of like 4 different powers that the Public Safety Review Board should have. So 1, it should have a broad and inclusive membership that has the authority to approve or deny policy proposals.
Amanda?
Yeah.
Can I ask that we not read it just word for word, but just trying to pick out like the really high level stuff, because it is a longer document that is linked on the agenda.
Sure. So those 3 things are the most important part. 4 powers. 1, the membership is going to be an executive committee and then a larger committee. This is the same way the Board of Trustees works. So you have an executive committee that sets the agenda, votes on things, and then you have a larger committee, which is about like 40 people. And those 40 people would be actively soliciting comments from other people. So I guess like the more important thing, take a look at the powers. These are really important, but if we want to scroll down, we want to look at the provisional composition of the PSRB, in particular, the undergraduate section. Yeah, so this is the structure. You can read it yourself. And here are the undergraduate members. Scroll a little bit lower. Yeah, undergraduate students, 7 total, 2 students representing SA, doesn't matter who, can be anyone, doesn't need to be the president, can be, I don't know, senators, can be anyone who's in SA basically. 2 students that are in that cover orgs in MSAB, 2 students from historically marginalized groups listed, and then 1 student from the medical emergency response team, simply because they interface with DPS the most out of anyone on campus, so this seems pretty intuitive. All of this is subject to feedback, so this is the first draft. I think that there is an incredibly robust purpose, and after like months of deliberation and sort of discussing who should be on this board, this is sort of what we settled with. In terms of reasoning, all of that is linked in the document. So the 3rd page talks about all of the reasoning as to why these people, why this group of people, why these particular people should be on the board itself. This is a huge change, like I said before, from the old Public Safety Review Board, where now what we want to do is actually use it as the accountability that it was designed to be, instead of having it be in the shadows. Yeah, that's all I have. And yeah, I think, you know, it would be cool if you had any thoughts to like email or reach out, or even just like comment on the document itself. There are going to be 3 places, sorry, 3, so this is a public document now, which means that it's circling sort of like, so we can get feedback on it. I would really like to have Senate feedback on it. We're meeting with representatives from MSAB tomorrow to see if we can do a town hall. And I believe that, I think Justina reached out to Eastman, although I'm not really sure where we are on that. But yeah, so in the next month, we want as much feedback as possible on whether this is the way forward, whether we think it's sustainable, and whether we think that this is a step towards a more accountable public safety. I yield.
All right, is there any discussion? Are there any other items for open forum? All right, we can go back to the agenda and move into Senator updates. Is there anything that anybody would like to discuss that's not on here? In the interest of time, I'm gonna ask that it's just things that are not currently on the document, but are to add to the document.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Hello, everyone. So yeah, there was some structural changes. Like any kind of structural project, there are going to be a lot of revision, a lot of conversation. So, as it stated there, I had a conversation with as an advisor on new idea. If you open the click on the link itself, because it will talk through about certain points in the new provision or potential provision. Excuse me. Scroll to the bottom. It's like the last article. Not close to the bottom. Scroll a little bit. It should be on page. It starts on page 5. Is where it begins. A little bit. Okay, right there. Okay, so basically, I stated before, this is going to be, the idea is having a subcommittee under student life, since a lot of affairs pertaining to the demographics that were implemented. A lot of the demographics that are stated in the document falls on student life category. Kind of the big idea, the role of this kind of board is, as I said before, gather information, deliberate student affairs of the demographic students that I'll put it right there. It should be called the Equity, Inclusion, Climate Board. Scroll down to this. So it will be working with the CDR, the OEI, several different departments. Once you go to, section 1, subsection D, talks about his role. So one of the roles is similar to a normal committee, but is different. Is actually quite a little different. So it does address and advocate and keep accountability for limitation of initiatives, but make sure that we are adhering to the structure as it is. That any kind of idea or any kind of initiative that this board oversees is then presented to student life committee as a whole, will then vote or approve the ideas coming from the board and then present it to the Senate for their overall approval, for their checks and balances and the composition. So the student life can oversee this board. They have checks and balances in place. The governance composition of the board is basically chair, deputy chair, two senators, minority liaison, and student life committee to be adhere since it's under the committee and the flow, so make sure it flows well and they're aware of what's going on in the subcommittee subboard on the committee. So like chair will be a member of this board. So let's say advisor, both like the AMA will be also adhering to this meeting as well. Other point, kind of major points is not only does it answer to student life first, does collaborate other student orgs if needed. The only difference is the chair of the board will not be student life chair, since student life deals with so much, a very broad demographic jurisdiction, to make sure that the initiatives pertaining to these specific groups of people and that initiatives that primarily concern these group of people adhere to them and that they're consistent. Since student life chair is that position changes every year, not every same person applies every year. The chair of the board is stated and will stay there until that person is removed by a 2/3 vote from the board or the Senate, or until that person resigns. And if they resign, they pick another chair for which they'll follow. So the purpose of this, we want to have a continuous member leading the board on these initiatives. We don't want to have too much turnover with the student life chair being turned over a lot. It could have complications if mission can be lost, et cetera, et cetera. I really would love feedback open to any, especially student life chair, previous chair, current chair. I mean, anybody who has interest or feedback, I'll welcome it. And yeah, I don't want to waste people's time. So yeah.
All right, is there any discussion? Are there any other senator updates or things that should be discussed during this meeting before we go into committee updates? All right, ARC, anything to add?
Nope.
Any discussion for ARC? Appropriations? Any discussion for appropriations? Campus services?
Yeah, Senator Cosme couldn't make it today, but just the updates are that legislative advisors will be finalized by tomorrow, and our meeting time has been set for Fridays 5 to 6, which will be sent to Karamar. Senator Cosme is meeting with Cam on Wednesday to talk about Aramark's update, and other initiatives will have updates for next week. Thank you, I yield.
Any discussion for campus services? All right, Isaac.
No updates, but I do want to say that we finalized our weekly meeting times. That will be every Tuesday at 8:30 to 9:30. If you're interested, send me a link. If you're interested, I can just reach out and then I can send you a link. Thanks.
Any discussion for Isaac?
No.
All right, is there any discussion for student life or academics? We don't currently have committee chairs for those two, but are there things that pertaining to those two committees that folks want to discuss?
In student life, we set a preliminary informal meeting through a when to meet. It's going to be tomorrow at 12:30 to 1:30.
All right, any other discussion? Exec updates?
Just to kind of go through it. Yep, our formalized office hours going to be starting, anonymous feedback forms there, flag subcommittee. Folks should have gotten emails from Mark in the last 2 hours, I believe. If there's anybody that particularly wants to make a case to be a part of the interviews for the sub flag committee choices, feel free to reach out to Mark. I do know that we did forward a invite to the ISEC chair and deputy. So let me know if you didn't get those. As for that, next thing, voter letter sent. That was again to try to incentivize companies to get time off for their employees to vote. I'm also now communicating with CPE to see if we can do this for the U of R specifically. So we'll see what those communications bring. Oh, and then on this last point, this is something that if anybody wants to potentially, touch base with me on, I'm coordinating a conversation with so far just the graduate student association president, and probably will loop in Tessa from Eastman for the Eastman Students Association to discuss anti-racism training specifically for students and extending that potentially to the Med Center. I'm reaching out now to folks that I know within the White Coats for Black Lives Matter, going off of my conversation from last week. If anybody knows any contacts for the You Are Abolished group that might have contacts within the Med Center, because I think that's probably a discussion they're also having, that'd be great, just because I don't want to work counterintuitively to any other efforts going on right now. But otherwise, meeting minutes for the DPS Student Advisory Board, I've been trying to find those, and I'm going to email Mark, but Matt, I will forward you a link when I do find it, because it's nowhere on the website, or if it's there, it's not accessible. But for the future, just to let folks know, the Student Advisory Board, it seems like Mark Fisher, who's the head of DPS, is going to make these open moving forward. So it's not going to be something necessarily that you have to reach out to DPS to get requested the Zoom link. So I'll advertise next month's meeting, because it's a pretty great space to discuss a lot of the things, going back to kind of points from when Amanda was mentioning on reimagining Public Safety Review Board, points like that, getting elaboration on some of the policies and things. And yeah, there's 2 updates that are not on the agenda, but I'm just going to voice right now. So applications, I've noticed that some people have been sharing them on their stories. Thank you. Keep plugging it, because it seems like from our conversations with leadership yesterday, we're going to keep them on a rolling basis, but we're going to be starting interviews for, I believe, like next week. So the positions open: academic affairs chair, student life chair, which I think it still says deputy on the SA website. Xander, I sent you a screenshot. So if you hear back from Griffin, let me know, because just so we can edit that. But I'm hoping to also send out a mass email end of the week. And this is where the second update comes in. I don't know if people remember Isha's updates from 2 weeks ago, but the newsletter for SA, that's still something that we're doing. So I'm going to submit a link to the chat to the forum. So if anybody has in particular any updates they want to share to the student body, of course, whether or not they're included is dependent on how much progress, how definitive they are. But if you have anything, feel free to send it, and Isha will coordinate with leadership, because we are trying to, I believe, send that out for Friday. So just to give time for feedback, we want to get those updates in by tomorrow, so she can start formatting the newsletter. I'm going to find the link, but if anybody has any questions for me, I yield.
Senator Rogers?
Oh, since I was on the advisory board meeting, I took notes. I can give a little more context to the content. The important things from the advisory board that we discussed with Chief Mark Fisher was kind of the jurisdiction and the MOU, or the clarification, the training, accountability. They kind of clarified the ratio RPD as well. They clarified their presence in the 19 ward. So they said they do no service calls, but they do provide transportation to students who live in 19 ward who feel unsafe. They gave examples of where the jurisdiction lies. They mentioned the number of officers that have been injured at the Med Center, the STAR program they have from their good work. They say the Med Center, we're talking about some of the policies and use of force, and et cetera, kind of getting a overview of what DPS is, what their actions, and their role. Then there's some keynotes from pertaining to the social activism, the banner that was put up, that Mark Fisher stated on the record that he did not take down, that the students decided to take the banner down, the facilities washed the chalk off, not him. That's what he stated. And that for mental health calls, they use 24-hour counselor. They are open to the idea of a mental health task group, but that still is in the works. If people want to plan that out, that's something that's going to be talked through, and needs to facilitate more conversation about the idea. But he's open to when dealing with mental health calls, having a task force with that. But overall, it was a brief overview of kind of what DPS is, their responsibilities, and kind of fixing up the ambiguity with what they're perceived, because he is frustrated with the perception of DPS. There were feedback from students who were talking about publicizing DPS calls with RPD. Needs to be more follow-up with that. There's need to be more, you're trying to work on better communication with what DPS does, with the particular idea of a Q&A explaining, sitting down, interviewing Mark Fisher about what exactly does DPS does. And so some people can be more prepared for the town hall, so we have in-depth and engaging conversation and not take up with basic questions that can be answered in the video. So we are trying to see if we can facilitate a video Q&A with Mark Fisher to get out the plain nitty-gritty stuff, and have it on the website and have it presented in the town hall, so we can then have a more constructive conversation, calling DPS and the view board and such. I think that's the main points that are covered, and that's about it.
Thank you for that rundown. Yes. So to kind of go off of that last point, that's something that we're still getting confirmation from with Mark. He said that apparently they had a departmental meeting today, and they were going to follow up tomorrow with us. So yeah, to emphasize the last points, kind of going off of trying to bring more transparency and potential reform within the department, going through like an FAQ, which Devon's going to be point on, seeing if we're going to try to translate that into a video, and then potentially a town hall where we can have some more critical discussion about the department, the relations within, specifically right now, the ASNE undergraduate community, but we'll see.
So in the interest of time, I'm going to ask that any further questions that aren't super pressing, just email Justina and Devon after the meeting. Is that okay?
That'd be great. One last thing, I'm sending the form in right now into the chat. So if anybody has updates for the newsletter, feel free to use that form to get in contact with Isha. Last thing I just wanted to plug Fred for the great, job he did this weekend with the photos. Very professional. I've been seeing a lot of people updating their profile pictures, so I just wanted to put in there because I don't think it was anywhere on the agenda, but he did a phenomenal job. Also doing an extra day, for any of the people that couldn't make it Friday or Saturday. Really great, really on top of it. So thank you, Fred, if you're on the call.
Senator Liang.
Is DPS aware of the students' demands document?
Yes, they're aware. I sent out an email with our advisors and incorporated Mark Fisher to outline the situation and link of the manifesto, because I don't think it's accessible anywhere besides the posters, the QR links, and then the Instagram. So I don't think that they would have access otherwise. But yes, they're aware. And I know that Dean Burns had meetings with some of them. I don't know if they were organizers, but some of the members that were postering to get banners back and have that kind of conversation. So they're aware. Yeah.
Senator Liang, you still have the floor.
Have they said they were going to do anything about it?
That's a conversation we haven't really had in depth with them. We are having an FLG meeting this week, so it's probably something that we're going to be discussing. But as for their public stance on it, we haven't received any word.
Senator Liang, you have the floor.
Sorry, I yield.
Is there any other discussion for exec? Again, I'm going to encourage you to just reach out after the meeting and ask any questions. Alumni Advancement.
So this week is going to be the start of Meliora month, which has got us spread out Meliora weekend over the month of October. There's going to be a giveaway this Saturday. Please make sure that you fill out your doctor chat box, otherwise they won't let you in. And if you have any questions about Together for Rochester, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
All right, is there any discussion for Alumni Advancement?
I have what's the giveaway? Do you know what the giveaway is, Seke?
So it's the regular Rochester Traditions giveaway. If you are a senior, you get that crew neck with the big R. Juniors get the scarves. Sophomores get the baseball cap, and first years get the pennant. There will be a link coming soon to sign up. I think it's coming out tomorrow morning.
All right, any other discussion? Community engagement?
Hi guys, so I have a few updates that I got this morning and then one that I just completely forgot to put on the agenda, so Matt's gonna put them in the minutes. So the first one is that I met with the Ethical Investment Advisory Committee, which advises the university in how it invests its endowments. We had that meeting today, and we discussed having a town hall for community, like UR community members to attend. The time is to be determined, so I will let you guys know, because we really want to see a lot of students show up and like talk about what they want to see us divest. I don't know, one of those two words. And I'm meeting tomorrow with the Community Engagement for Racial Justice Committee to discuss undergraduate involvement tomorrow. Thank you, Amanda, divest. So I will update you on what happens there. And then also tomorrow is the first presidential debate. CPE is hosting a watch party on Wilson Quad. So if you want to go there and hang outside with your friends, it should be nice weather. Register on CCC. And then you can also watch on your own on ABC, Fox, NBC, and YouTube. And there should be a CPE post out there, so you can probably share that as well. That's all I have.
President Gorka.
Awesome. I just had a question, Izzy, about the divestment group. I remember when I was in SDS in the past, there was trouble with finding out what the university was specifically invested in. That wasn't something that was like could be publicly disclosed. I was wondering if you knew the status on that, or.
So yeah, so that was kind of something that I at first wasn't sure of either, and I obviously did some digging to see like if I could find that information, but obviously it isn't public. I can bring that up to them at our next meeting, because the way that it's been functioning since I started attending meetings last semester is, well, I mean, last semester we were focused on prison, like divestment from private prisons and stuff, and obviously we're seeking kind of something to focus on this year, but I can ask if there's any way that it can be made more public, or, I mean, I don't know if that's in their jurisdiction, because I just don't know, but yeah, that's definitely a really good point, and I will be sure to bring it up to them because it does seem kind of silly.
Thank you. I yield.
Any other discussion? Public relations? Any discussion for PR?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, ACJC?
So thanks everyone for making it through the meeting to this point. I really appreciate that. I have a nice brief interlude for you folks, but please stay safe, exercise behavior that's safe. Especially, you know, the spirit of the policy, I think, is separate from the actual wording of the policies. So please exercise safe behavior and make sure to keep your community and your friends and your family to a lesser extent safe. I don't have any public updates. Hopefully I'll have something really big next week. Mike, I see you. Hopefully we'll be having discussions about that in the coming few weeks. I yield.
Any discussion? All right, parliamentarian updates.
All right, hi everyone. So most of the updates are there. I just wanted to note that tomorrow I'll be giving a resolution writing workshop in ISAC starting at 8:40 p.m. I'm going to email senators with the link. So ideally, the ISAC committee and then also any senators that sit on academic affairs could come. And then I'm working on hosting another resolution writing workshop for the campus services and student life committees. I think that resolutions are one of the most important pieces of legislation that you'll be writing as senators, because it's the type of legislation which actually creates an impact on students. And so if you're able to write them, that's great. And obviously I'm here to help you, but hopefully the resolution writing workshop can actually give you some degree of autonomy and comfort when writing this legislation. So more details to come. I am going to send out an email, and if you're in academic affairs and can't make it to this one in ISAC, that's okay. I'm just trying to have a relatively even number of senators across both workshops. So I think that's it. Thanks, everyone.
All right, any discussion? All right, Matt, anything to add?
Just that we are finally caught up on minutes. So as you can see, there are 2 motions to approve 2 separate minutes from 2 weeks ago and last week's meeting. As of now, hopefully will be 1 minute's meeting per session. Oh, and to the people that contacted me today with updates, I have them all on my minutes.
All right, I just wanted to add that the Senate Bill 37 and 38, as well as statement number 27, have been signed by the president and enacted. There's going to be a complete full update or description in the minutes, but essentially the bills that were passed 2 weeks ago have all been signed, and they're going to now be implemented. All right, any discussion for Matt or I? All right, we'll go into new business. Is there a motion? Reminder that there does have to be a motion, even if it's a motion to adjourn. Senator Liverpool.
Motion to approve motions 82 and 83.
All right, is there a second on that motion? Senator Rogers. All right, is there any discussion on the minutes? All right, we'll vote by unanimous consent. Is there any dissent on this motion? Seeing and hearing none, that passes. Is there a motion? Senator Rogers.
Motion to approve Rafael Ramirez and Aman Salimi as senators on the Academic Affairs Committee.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Liang.
Seconded.
All right, these are the same type of motions as appeared last week. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll vote by roll call whenever the deputy speaker is ready.
Great. Senator Arian Arkin? Yes. Senator Baker? Okay, gotcha. Senator Abile?
Yes.
Senator Dillingham?
Yes.
Senator Hawk?
Yes.
Senator Hathaway?
Yes.
Senator Leong?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Nadeem?
Yes.
Senator Changase?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez,
Abstain.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Sadi,
Yes.
Senator Salimi, Senator Tome, Senator Yoon, Senator
Can you
Tome.
still hear me?
Yeah, I heard. I just didn't hear anything for like the last 4 senators I called. So I'll just assume abstentions.
Senator Tome is no longer in the meeting. Senator Yoon has just said yes.
Is Senator Yoon here?
Matt, Senator Yoon just said yes in the chat.
Oh, my internet must be wrong. Okay, so we have.
All right. Well, given my counting, I'm going to say that the motion passes.
Oh, did you hear me just now? Sorry. No. Oh, sorry. 13 yeses, 5 abstentions.
Okay, so
my
the motion
internet
passes.
is just not working.
I think campus internet is being a little bit slow. Is there a motion? Senator Liverpool?
Motion to approve Devon Rogers as a senator on the Appropriations Committee.
Is there a second? Senator Liang?
Seconded.
All right, same thing. Any discussion? All right, we're gonna vote by roll call again.
Okay, hopefully it goes better this time. All right, Senator Arian-Arkian? Yes. Senator Baker?
Yes.
Senator Bila? Yes. Yes. Senator Dillingham?
Yes.
Senator Hawk?
Yes.
Senator Hathaway?
Yes.
Senator Leong?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Nadeem?
Yes.
Senator Changase?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez?
Yes.
Senator Rogers?
Staying.
Senator Sadi?
Yeah.
Senator Salimi?
Senator Salimi said yes in the chat.
Okay. Senator Yoon? She say yes in the chat, or I don't see anything. Senator Yoon. Okay, gotcha. Yes. So we have 14 yeses, 4 abstentions.
All right, that passes. Congratulations. Is there a motion? Senator Hawk?
Motion to approve Blaine Dillingham as a senator on the Student Life Committee.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Ramirez?
Second.
All right, same as the previous. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll vote by roll call.
All right, Senator Arian-Arkian? Yes. Senator Baker? Yes. Senator Bila? Yes. Senator Dillingham?
Abstain.
Senator Hawk?
Yes.
Senator Hathaway?
Yes.
Senator Leong,
Yes.
Senator Liverpool,
Yes.
Senator Nadim,
Yes.
Senator Chongase,
Yeah, sorry.
Senator Ramirez,
Yes.
Senator Rogers,
Yeah.
Senator Sadi,
Yes.
gotcha, Senator Salimi, Senator Yoon. Senator Yoon. Did you say something? Oh wait, gotcha. 14 yeses, 4 abstentions.
All right, motion passes. Congratulations. Is there a motion? Senator Hawk.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Senator Arnarkin.
Seconded.
All right, is there any dissent to adjourning? Seeing and hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.